Welcome to PowerApps Raw. I'm Richard Wilson, and today we're going to be talking about how to replace your Xrm.Page namespace with the form context in your form-based UCI web resources. So what's the current problem we're facing? Well, the Xrm.Page namespace is currently deprecated by Microsoft. It's not gone, but it will go away eventually. So we need to start moving over to their replacement for that, the form context. But how do we do that? Because currently, for web resources, there's no effective way to get that form context. Well, Microsoft has started to provide some fixes for this. The first one, which was released in February of this year, was the get content window function. What this allows us to do is actually get the content of a web resource in an iframe. And that's important because what we can do now is in an onload method of a form, we can actually get that content window of a web resource and call a function on it and pass variables into it, which is even more important. So our onload, we can say, hey, make sure that the form context, the execution context is passed, which gets us our form context, and then we can pass that to the web resource. So now we can get it all the way down there. The other good thing about using this, as opposed to just trying to use parent.xrm.page, is as we start to move away from being able to use Xrm.Page, the PowerApps checker is going to get more and more stringent on what it sees as a warning or an error. So this will not cause any false positives or cause any errors in the PowerApps checker. Just so you know, for web resources that are maybe called from the ribbon button, you will still need to utilize the Xrm.Page namespace through opener.xrm.page. So how do we get all this running? Let's take a look. So for example purposes, I've created a simple web resource that basically just shows us our current form ID. And it's getting this data from the form context. So how did we do this? Take a look at the code. So here's our JavaScript file. This JavaScript file is holding the onload function for our form. It's taking in the execution context. It's getting the form context. It's getting the control object. It's going to make sure the control's there. And then it's going to get the content window of our web resource control. Now, this is all happening asynchronously. So when our success function fires, it's going to provide us the content of that web resource. Now, because all of this is asynchronous, one of the issues you can have is the success function can fire before all of the content from that window is completely loaded. So as you can see here, I'm doing a set interval. And I'm waiting essentially just for a function from our web resource to be available to me. Once that's available, I'll go ahead and clear the interval to stop this from running. And then I'm actually going ahead and call that function and pass in the form context. So let's take a look at the HTML page. Again, very, very simple, just defines one function in a little script tag, which is our set client API context, which is taken in the form context. You can attach that form context to the window object just so you have access to it from more places. And then I'm just setting a simple span to the current form ID from the form context. So super easy. Easy to set up. All I had to do here was on my form editor. I'm going to click on form properties. You can see I added my library for my form script onload. Then I just added a quick onload event, looking at my form onload function. The important part here is to ensure that you've clicked pass execution context as first parameter. Finally, I added my web resource. See here, very simple. And here's the name that you saw in my form onload JavaScript where I'm getting the control. That's where that came from. And once we're all done there, we're all set. And there you go. Hopefully this will help you stop using the Xrm.Page namespace, which again is going to be deprecated eventually. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for your time today.